During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Rowlett Chamber of Commerce has worked closely with the local officials and the City of Rowlett to provide resources and help for our local businesses. Recently, I had a chance to visit with Rowlett Chamber President and CEO Michael Gallops to discuss the Chamber's extraordinary work within our local business community during the pandemic. Here's this month's Spotlight Story. Thank you, Michael, for joining us so that we can update our community on the current business environment in Rowlett. I would like to start by saying thank you to you and your staff for all the hard work and dedication the Chamber has displayed to help our businesses during these difficult times. Here we are in October, over 6 months since the start of this pandemic, and things have certainly evolved over this time period. The Chamber has been such a great partner to our businesses over these last 6 months. Can you tell us about some of the work the Chamber has been doing to provide information and resources to our businesses?
Thank you, Mayor. You're absolutely correct when you mention difficult times. It has been a rough 6 months, unlike anything we've ever seen before. Like everyone else, we had to change how we work in order to provide the resources and assistance the business community needed. I like to describe it with 3 words: catalyst, convener, and champion. As a catalyst for business growth and survivability and a champion for a stronger community, we had to identify what needed to happen to help local businesses survive the blunt force of the shutdown. One of the first things we did was put together a listing of restaurants and shared that with the Rowlett community. Our restaurant owners had to change everything about how they did business, most of them offering curbside and delivery for the first time. My staff contacted every restaurant in town so we could share their new hours and how they would be operating. We followed that with a new page on the website to share information about retail stores and service providers and how they too would be doing business. We connected retailers with web designers so they could go online if they weren't already. And then we offered businesses the opportunity to send out a free email blast to help them market themselves. We sent out almost nightly emails to every business we had contact information from, Chamber members and non-members, with information from the federal government, state, county, and the city. Information that changed constantly, sometimes more than daily. In all, we've sent over 100 emails that were specific to COVID-19 related issues. Those emails included other training and educational opportunities and additional resources for potential financial help. We offered training to our business community on how to deal with the changes, everything from running your business online to dealing with employees working remotely. Some of the training included how to deal with the emotional and mental effects of working at home or being isolated. Others dealt with how to keep your business safe, and others were new ways to do business. In all, we offered more than 20 webinars and seminars on how to pivot, and 5 on how to deal with the emotional and physical health. Many of those were in partnership with our local hospital, Baylor Scott & White, and with the Counseling Institute of Texas. Others were with local chamber members, the U.S. Chamber, and the National Federation of Business. We also partnered with Atmos Energy for a gift card program that was a huge success and poured several $1,000s into our local restaurants. My incredible staff and our wonderful volunteers also made over 2,500 phone calls to check on our business owners and ensure they were aware of the many different resources. Finally, we have spent a lot of time on advocacy efforts. We joined the Save Small Business Coalition, which is advocating for changes to small business interruption insurance that will help provide coverage for the small business and it will assist the insurance companies so they don't suffer a huge loss. We're also part of the America's Recovery Fund Coalition, which wants to provide additional funding to retain and rehire staff, pay rent, debt, and taxes. Other advocacy efforts included expanding the PPP and simplifying the forgiveness process.
Michael, that's just incredible what, a huge array of services you provide, and we're going to talk about a few others. Many of our businesses were able to take advantage of the PPP, Payroll Protection Program, and I know the Chamber played a big role in helping our businesses understand and navigate this program. Can you tell us a little bit about that and give us some feel for how important this program was to our businesses?
Mayor, the Payroll Protection Program has been so incredibly important to our business community. 675 businesses in Rowlett received help through the PPP that ranged from a few thousand to several $100,000 based on their needs. Many of them would have had to close permanently without that assistance. Early on, it was obvious to us that the CARES Act, EIDL, and PPP were extremely confusing, so we found resources and began sharing them. We held 5 webinars that dealt with PPP and CARES Act education specifically and shared resources for dozens of others. These included experts from the Small Business Administration, the U.S. Chamber, and legislators who were a part of writing the CARES Act. Recordings of the ones we held are still available on the Chamber's website on the coronavirus resource page. We took dozens of calls with specific questions about the PPP as well. So many, in fact, that I almost felt like I could have done some of the webinars myself. I'll add that we also helped many small business owners figure out the unemployment process, including sole proprietors, LLCs, and partnerships.
Another area, very early in this pandemic, we formed the Rowlett COAD, which stands for Community Organizations Active in Disaster. As chair of this organization, you've had a lot of involvement individually, and certainly the chamber representation is an important part of the COAD. Can you let our viewers know, what the mission of the Rowlett COAD is, as well as discuss some of the work the COAD has been doing during this pandemic? I also think it would be helpful for our viewers to know the types of other community organizations that are a part of this COAD.
Mayor, the COAD was formed to help direct disaster-related resources to those in need in the city of Rowlett, and is activated whenever there's a disaster declaration that affects the city. The goal was to bring together the city, local nonprofits and churches, and the business community to be prepared to respond in the aftermath of a disaster. Committee members include folks from local nonprofits, churches, businesses, the hospital, and our infrastructure partners. We meet regularly for information and needs sharing and to discuss new ways to help the community. Ironically, we were actually in the process of creating the COAD when this happened. It was pretty amazing to see how quickly we were able to stand the organization up. One of the first things we did after forming the committee was to start offering resources to seniors and those with emotional or spiritual needs. With the help of several incredible volunteers, including many from the Rowlett Citizen Corps Council, we were able to call nearly every senior citizen in Rowlett for a welfare check, just to make sure they were okay. We also started assisting families that were in quarantine with supplies they needed to keep safe. I'm sure you remember the run on stores for cleaning supplies and the almost immediate disappearance of toilet paper. Many families that were quarantined couldn't get out to get those things, and they weren't readily available anyways. But we were able to find sanitizing products and toilet paper and have those things delivered.
If someone needs assistance or wants to volunteer for the COAD, how do they reach out?
Mayor, anybody that wants to help or that needs help can go to the website at rowlettready.com, and there's contact information there. While they're there, if they have the means, they can also donate to Rowlett Ready to help with current and future needs.
And you talked about you were in the process of forming this COAD, not you personally, the group. You're one member of it. So it's not just about this pandemic. It was something that was a vision after the tornadoes, that we had this organization in place for other emergencies. And so, how will this play in the future if there is another emergency?
Well, Mayor, that's the part of the irony. We didn't start creating the COAD because of the pandemic, like you said. Its purpose is to help in all sorts of disasters and emergencies. These can range from supporting the community after a large-scale event like a tornado, or helping someone out after a house fire. In the event of an emergency, the committee would come together to provide assistance and support that could be physical, emotional, spiritual, or even financial.
In another area, the city receives federal CARES funding, and the Chamber was very instrumental in helping us provide over $1 million to our Rowlett businesses in robust grants, some of which are still in process. I know you and the Chamber worked very hard to help us form the program parameters, to roll out the program to our businesses, and to facilitate the awards based on program specifics. The Chamber also assisted our businesses to understand and navigate the separate Dallas County Small Business Grant Program. How important have these grant programs been to our businesses?
Well, we have had more than 50 businesses apply for the Dallas County Emergency Business Assistance Program, and more than 100 apply for the Robust Grant. So I would say that they were extremely important. Without this assistance, many of them would have closed. In the first round, we were able to help 19 businesses, but it was tough after that first round when we had to tell many applicants there weren't any funds left. Some business owners cried when they got that news. I'm so grateful that the city, the council, and especially Ed Balderas, the city's emergency manager, continued working so very hard on cutting through the red tape of Dallas County to provide the funds for a second and third round of the Robust Grant. Now the tears are happy tears, and those are so much better.
And recently, we rolled out an individual assistance program provided with CARES funding, and that runs through October 31st to help Rowlett residents in need impacted by COVID-19 to provide emergency rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. You can visit our website at rowlett.com/COVID-19 for more information. So overall, what is the current state of affairs for our small businesses, and what would you like to share with our viewers regarding ways they can help our businesses survive through the rest of this pandemic?
Well, Mayor, we've done 2 surveys in partnership with Jim and Lexi in the Economic Development Department, one near the beginning of the pandemic and the other more recently. We were able to get a pretty good feel for how the business community is doing, and while everyone is optimistic about the future, the reality is we are still struggling. Nearly 70% have experienced a reduction in revenue of 50% or more. Nearly 25% had to let employees go due to COVID. That might not seem like much, but remember, these are small businesses and many of them are sole proprietors. Others are essential businesses. They didn't let employees go and they couldn't work remotely, so those employees have been on the front lines every single day. We've also had at least 10 businesses that I know of that have closed right here in Rowlett, all due to the financial strain caused by the pandemic. Business owners' biggest fears are decreasing consumer confidence in spending and financial impact on operations. We see that play out every day. There are fewer consumers out at the so-called non-essential businesses. People are purchasing what they have to have, but they've let other things go for now. It's almost a snowball effect. More people are working from home and don't want to go shopping, so they have groceries delivered and necessary items delivered. That keeps them from needing auto repair work done and prevents them from the impulse drop-in shopping they would normally do on a run to the grocery store. Things like a quick gift from a local boutique or stopping for a bite to eat at lunchtime or a smoothie. Events aren't happening, so those who support them are struggling, places like the florist and the party supply stores. And even though the governor opened restaurant capacity to 75%, it hasn't helped much because they still have to maintain social distancing between tables or spend money they don't have on plexiglass and other dividers. So yes, we're optimistic, but we're a long way from full recovery. What can viewers do to help? Buy local. If you're working from home, then spend the money you've saved on gas, tolls, and dry cleaning and buy dinner from a local restaurant a couple nights a week. Check out local business websites and social media for specials they're offering and start buying for Christmas now. Use this time to visit with your local insurance agent or financial advisor for a checkup and refer your friends to them. Get some necessary repairs done to your house or your car before you have to start going back to work again. Remember that our business owners and our local employees are people too. They have families to support, bills to pay. They're our neighbors and our friends. Call and ask them how you can help. Let's do whatever we can to support them. And if you're one of the folks who is struggling too, and I know there are many, please take advantage of the resources that are available, like the individual assistance program the mayor mentioned, or contact the Rowlett Ready Co-ad. We have people who can direct you to resources for financial needs as well as emotional and spiritual needs. And one final comment, I want to say thank you again to my awesome staff. They have worked tirelessly to help keep the chamber running, to keep the flow of information going out to the business community and help me stay sane. I also want to thank our ambassadors and other volunteers, and of course the City of Rowlett and her employees and the City Council for truly caring about our business community.
Well, Michael, it's been quite a journey for the last 6 months, and again, we can't thank you and your staff enough, and all the volunteers throughout our community that have worked so hard to get us through this pandemic, and the city employees, and to all those businesses and individuals out there that still need help. There are resources out there, and we're here to help in any way we possibly can. So, and like you said, to our residents, shop local. It's very, very important. And, just so appreciative of you sharing this information with our community. It's important that they hear these details.
Thank you, Mayor.